I'm Mark Sardilla, and I came to my approach to sustainability through a very technical background and technical training. I mean, as a kid, I always fooled with things, especially energy things, electric trains and cars and so on. So I ended up going to engineering school because I had a strong math background. And all of my initial work in energy and in sustainability was all focused on technology and the sort of belief that, you know, bringing in new technologies would change the way we relate to each other. And in fact, there's some truth to that, because as Ivan Illich, the great ecological economist, said, you know, technology has within it values. The values are bound up in the technology, and that bind is often so strong that any culture that takes in those technologies will take in those values as well. So I wasn't completely off base, but I started with a very technological approach to the problem. Sometime later I was at a conference and I went to a booth, actually the NOAA booth, the Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration booth, and flipped open to the Vostok ice core data, which all of you have seen, that show the rise in carbon dioxide levels over the years. And my world went quiet right there in the middle of a conference, and I realized that we were in a bad ecological and environmental problem. And I started focusing on that and started lecturing on that, the ecological aspects of it. I took that data into a legislative subcommittee that was hearing a bill on fuel cells at the state legislature here. And I was taken out in the hallway and scolded by a legislator. Not because she couldn't believe that I had 120,000 years of data. She couldn't conceive that 120,000 years of scientific data was even possible to have. She didn't discount the data, she discounted science. So this is my foray into politics and looking at how our politics work and how things. So I lobbied for years, and I lobbied against electricity deregulation, and learned a lot about how politicians go about making laws and how economics and power and societal power has moved into the political arena, and how it prevents us from working or focusing solely on that arena. So politics was a bit of a dead end. And then seeing the way money pollutes politics, I started getting into economics and looking at the economic benefits of moving to a more decentralized energy system. We have an extremely centralized energy system now. And that concentration of energy and the concentration of control leads to a concentration of wealth directly. In fact, many would say it's the very same thing. Money and energy are interchangeable. Economists believe this more than engineers do, because economists believe that money can always be turned into energy, and engineers know that's not true. Energy can't be created. So, but this focus on economy sort of led me to do the studies that I'm most known for here around Santa Fe in biomass district energy. I did a study. I hired an economist named Michael Shuman, who you may all know. He wrote Going Local. And I hired him specifically to help me design an energy project for the community of Santa Fe. And I wanted to design it in a particular way. We had a technology in mind, but we knew we needed to thin the forest, and we knew we had a lot of biomass, and we also knew we were burning natural gas, and the price was going up very high, very fast. So we asked Michael Shuman, how would we create this energy project in the way that maximized the economic benefits to the community? And he showed that with a small investment, $23 million for the city, we could build an infrastructure that would create billions of dollars of economic benefit for the city and county of Santa Fe. And that economic benefit was the direct result of, instead of all the money, the energy dollars people were spending on their heating bills, leaving town, because our energy, our thermal energy in this community is supplied by investor-owned utilities, all of whom are traded on Wall Street. So instead of watching all our energy dollars leave town, we showed that you could localize, capture those existing monetary flows. These are not creating new markets. This is people already taking money out of their wallet and handing it to someone. And all I'm saying is, if you hand it to someone else and you put it in a place that will recycle it within the community, those dollars stay in the community, they recycle and they multiply. So we started showing that it was an issue of economics. And at this point, I couldn't get the city of Santa Fe to actually stand up and even accept that a $23 million investment was an appropriate thing to do, or that if they borrowed the money they would see enormous returns on it through these billions of dollars of respending and economic benefit that it would create. So I looked from there to behavioral science and sociology. You see, I'm still, as an engineer, I'm so unprepared for the world we're in and for the problem that we're in. But you talk to behavioral scientists and sociologists, and I started looking at the way people behave with their money and the way people interact with their money. And I've come to the conclusion lately, and this is where Local Energy's work is focused now, because we did 3 years of research at a cost of $1.8 million to show that it could be done technically, that it would have environmental benefits and social benefits. The truth is, it's the control of capital right now that's preventing so many things. And what a time to be talking about control of capital while our financial markets are all melting down worldwide. You know, there's no difference between the financial meltdown and the energy meltdown and the climate meltdown and the behavioral meltdown, the education meltdown. There's no difference between them. It's all based on an exploitative way of interacting with one another that has been allowed at worst and condoned or allowed at best and condoned at worst. So what I'm looking at now is how can the community participate actively in the development of these community-based businesses, the locally owned independent businesses that can provide all of our food, can provide our energy, and can start providing all of the other essentials of our life, from housing to healthcare, insurance, whatever it is we need. How can you get these from the locally owned independents? So what I'm working on is a cooperative organization. It's actually, I mean, you have to build the transition under the laws and the things you have, the tools you have currently. So I'm building a cooperative that we're calling an investment cooperative, but really what it is it's a legal umbrella under which to bring producers and consumers, which is odd to pigeonhole people as producers and consumers, but sometimes we are one and sometimes we're the other. But to bring them together and to have a venue and a structure under which to take care of one another. Literally, the producers agree to produce according to certain values, whether they're producing food or energy. The consumers agree that if the producers produce according to these values, that they will buy. And they not only agree to buy in the future, they agree to invest in these companies ahead of time. So it's an investment cooperative that allows people. You'd be surprised how few avenues there are in law to allow any one of you to invest in a locally owned independent company. It's mostly regulated by securities laws, by the Federal Securities and Exchange Commission, or by state security statutes. And it's not that easy to do. It looks like the cooperative is a very good structure because cooperatives are protected in law, and as you know, cooperatives are business structures in which every member of the cooperative is an owner of that business and gets to vote on all significant matters. So by pulling both the producers and consumers underneath this umbrella and having them agree to share and create mutual agreements with one another to take care of one another, you have an avenue under which not outside of securities laws, but within the law, to start cultivating the relationships you need between the businesses and the people in your community to try to get the products produced in a way that's valued and to consume them in a way that also supports the community. So that's a huge chunk. I just covered like 45 years of my life at least. So good.
Yeah, so it's really all about politics.